First up is Cindy. Okay, it's looking like a cute little character. You should make sure to often be looking at these in rough mode. And when I do that, I can see that it's very, angular. And I would spend some time adjusting that. And you also have these really tight edges along the center line here. It looks like one maybe terminates there, but in a five-sided face. So maybe let's look for faces of more than four sides first. So I'm going to go to select using constraints, and go to faces there. And then let's do this as next selection. And let's turn on n-sided, more than four, that is. Okay, and that'll point those out to us. And we can solve those. So to solve those, I'll use the multi-cut tool, mesh tools, multi-cut, and here to there. Might just solve that one. And looks like there's another one here. Now, this one I think is just because of this edge here, and I might try to actually get rid of this edge. Control delete, not just regular delete. Should be alright. We'll put another edge in there later. Oh, and then we have this one coming up here. So again, multi-cut tool. Maybe we'll, do what you did on the other side. I mean, really, I guess what I would also do, well, the trick with this guy is he's asymmetrical because of the head, so you can't make it perfectly symmetrical, but I might, I'm holding down shift to get that 50% there. I think you're going to need this extra detail in here anyways, so, and you have it on the other side. So I'm just kind of doing it around on this side. And I think you'll want this anyways to help with. Let me just hit enter because it's getting fairly long. Just holding down shift to get that 50%. And this is going to have to be dealt with anyways here, because we have end gone there. So oh yeah, and then, so you've got these double ones here, and you really don't want them, and I kind of get how you ended up with that, maybe with these eyes, but we do have a little bit of a tangled issue there, but just while I'm down here, I'm going to take out this and just shift selecting these because those aren't helping you. At least up to there, control delete. And then I will have to deal with this somehow. What I might do is, okay. Maybe, end that in a triangle, and, it's just hidden behind there anyway, so it should be okay. Now, I kind of want to sort this area out because it's a bit of a mess here, and I kind of get that maybe that looked okay. Even in smooth, it looks like there's a little something going on there, so it might help us to look at smooth. I'm just shift double clicking, and I'm going to use scale, kind of spread those out. Whoops. Let me just turn off how's that? Is that helping a little bit? Yeah, there's some real, funniness here. with that. Wow, yeah, the way that thing crosses over to the other side. It's quite, it's a little bit of a mess. So I'm just doing that to the extreme to help me sort this out. And then, yeah, this thing's just got pulled way over to the other side, and you don't want that. Okay, better. All right, so now I can at least see what's going on. Okay, better. And, maybe move these down a bit. So now I'd probably shape these so that things are a little more rounded. And same with these. Maybe these two guys. Depending on what kind of shape you want in there. But, I mean, nothing should be in a straight line from each other, It should all be kind of, just make sure I didn't select anything extra there. I did. Just a little bit there, and then maybe move those and these down. So see how it's getting a little bit more rounded there. And yeah, and then just don't have anything on these going along these straight lines. Otherwise, if it's perfectly planar like that is, then you don't need this edge, right? Because that edge is not defining any more shape for you. So, use those edges to help define a shape or get rid of them. But you shouldn't have multiple edges along sort of a planar surface. And yeah, I would do maybe more rows around the neck. I mean, I'm not going to do this whole thing, but anywhere you see that, yeah. And again, here, let's get rid of these, this extra row here. You don't want these tight. I mean, in the case where you're trying to add a crease, you want like an extra edge there, but unless you're wanting to add a crease, you don't want that extra edge. So if we can get rid of this, Control Delete. And by the way, that Control Delete is Edit Mesh, Delete Edge Vertex. It's that menu item. Because if you don't do that, it can leave some vertices behind that you don't want, or some extra edges. So make sure when you delete edges to use that, not just regular delete. Okay, so now let's face and next selection. Let's. Okay, yeah. So you have a few of those areas to fix with the n-gon. So, here I could terminate this in a triangle. Oops. Is that not my multi-cut tool? No, I guess not. So, easy, right? And then, can't remember where all the other ones were. These two here, because of those guys. So I'm just going to hide this for a moment. And, yeah, I mean, it seems like we almost need a whole sort of situation going on here. I mean, honestly, I think you could probably, to help define this shape, you might want to add a whole nother row here. I'm going to control multi-cut, hold down Control, and maybe add a whole row there. Oh, we didn't want to do it across those. That's okay. And then that might help us deal with these a little bit. I'm going to get rid of, I know I made this before, but I'm going to get rid of that. And so we've got this. And then, of course, we still have to deal with this one, right, somewhere. But maybe here. And I think that looks like 4 sides, right? I thought one of those other ones was. Okay. So now it's just. So Maya actually crashed on me mid-video there. So I lost those changes. But yeah, I think make sure you're often looking at this in rough mode because the shapes should make sense there as well. The arms should be built straight out to the side for rigging purposes, and you'll definitely need more detail in the arm, especially around the areas that are going to bend to define it. Make sure the feet are flat on the ground, and again, the feet should have more shape and detail to them. And then, yeah, overall round things out and clean them up. But good progress so far. Next up is Vincent, and we've got some snapshots here. The model's looking really good. Let's take a look in Maya. So the first thing that kind of threw me off here was your layer colors. So this blue is the same color as when I'm in edge selection. So when I first looked at it, it looked like it was in edge selection mode. So I would tend to not use that and maybe, use no color or a different color. Yeah, the model's looking really great. I think the areas for improvement are on the hands. This area here, that kind of bulge there is looking a little odd. I would sort of push those guys in. Maybe this one. And I think overall you could use some more detail and attention on the hand. I think get a little bit more sense of knuckles. You've got some of it going on here, but I think you could go a little further with it. And I think that you might find it a little challenging the way the wrist kind of is inside the arm. I mean, typically I would have I guess the sleeves are sort of long, which is okay, but I just think you might run into some kind of intersections there when you're trying to move the hand around. So you might want to kind of pull this hand out a little further and show some wrist. I think on the knees and elbows, you're going to want some additional edge loops and a little bit more definition on the elbow and then the dent on the front, and then similarly with the knee and the dent in the back, although that's pretty clear. Maybe just a little bit on the more detail on the front. But yeah, really good model. If you had to rig it right this moment, I think it would work. The eyes should not be combined. I'm going to separate those and center the pivot. And you'll want the pole of the eye to be facing forward. So yeah, great model, really good character, good style, good design, and good modeling. So good work all around. Next up is Alberto. Alberto mentioned some issues with symmetry and wanting a bit more of a cartoonish character. Also, Alberto, if you could name your files with your name and the module number, that would be helpful. Let's take a look in Maya. And the view is funny, so I'm going to change that to view default view. And that looks more normal. And also I notice I go in the front view, it's showing the back of the character. So let's rotate him around 180 degrees. And then also move him up so that his feet are flat on the ground. Got to just because of the funny shape of the feet, I would go ahead and flatten the bottom of those feet a little bit. Just did 1 for rough mode, and you should make sure this makes sense and works in rough mode as well as in smooth. There's a lot of what we call n-gons, that is faces with more than 4 sides. You can see those easily if I go to face selection and then go to select using constraints, next selection, and n-sided, and I select that, and you can see them in various areas here. I think the arms need some attention. This area is looking a little wacky. You've got these extra edge loops here, and I'm not sure why. I'm gonna this one and this one, and to delete those you should use Control Delete, which is under Edit Mesh, delete edge / vertex, which is different from the just a regular delete, because if I just deleted the edges regularly, it would put extra edges here where those splits were. So I think you're going to want to kind of clean this up a little bit. Let's look at this from the top. That's looking okay. Why is it not selecting all the way around? Not sure, but let's take a look in the top view. I want to just flatten this out a little bit. Let's take a look at that curve, and you've got, yeah, this kind of weird area here, and I think it's because you had a loop that started to go around but didn't make it all the way around. Another thing I noticed are these 2 edges just kind of off by themselves. Again, I'll use Control Delete for the moment to get rid of those. And I want to sort of slide this edge loop down. So there's a tool I like for that, which is under Mesh Tools, Slide Edge Tool, which looks like this. And by the way, if you hold down Control and Shift, when you click on that, it'll add it to your shelf. You can see I've added it to my shelf here. If I double click on the tool, I like it with snapping turned off, because the snapping makes it hard to use. And now if I just middle mouse drag, you see what it tries to do is move the edge while maintaining the sort of overall shape of the arm. Yeah, and this is another sort of, there's a couple kind of funny edges here, which I might just get rid of. Again, they're forming these triangles, and yeah, I mean, that's starting to look a little cleaner. And, you know, when you want to add more shape to that, like I might take the multi-cut tool, which I've also added to the shelf. I'll hold down Shift for a straight line. Hey, come on. Why do you not want to cut there? Maybe it wants me to be in object mode. It's odd. It should cut straight through. No. Which also might tell us that there's some other issue with this, though I don't see what it is. I can just do that manually, you know, not manually, but I'm just holding down Shift to snap to each one here. Okay. So that's, and then you can, you know, use that loop to shape it a little bit more. And then, yeah, and then here, I think what I might do, just because this got a little funny, is I might just take some of these edges out, because I'm having trouble sort of figuring out what's going on here. That kind of helped clean it up a little bit, and I might take this edge and I'll use Scale to turn off my modeling toolkit. I don't really want that on. That'll kind of flatten that out, and then I'll use the slide edge to move this down a little bit, and then yeah, it's starting to be a little cleaned up now. And then if I want to add detail, just add more nice straight loops onto there, and then which you'll need here again with this bicep. Let's see if it's letting me cut straight through now like it's supposed to. Why not? I don't know why it's not liking that right now. Normally that works fine. You can also use instead the insert edge loop tool, and that is working fine. Enter. It's yeah. So, and then you can start to sculpt there and add some more shape. So that already looks much cleaner to me. You mentioned the symmetry thing, so I can see right from the start that there's this asymmetrical thing with the nose, so that may have caused your asymmetry problem. But I've been working on this side without working on that side, so I'll go ahead and delete the this side of the character. Is it not? Oh, it was just taking a minute to respond. And just double check my selection and make sure I didn't get any extra faces here, that everything is good. Yeah, that looks like a good selection. Go ahead and delete that side. And then I'll select edge and double click here and just make sure I got a full edge all the way around there. That looks good. Checking the front view, and mostly it looks pretty lined up, although, yeah, I guess it's just mostly that nose thing. But either way, just to be sure, I'm going to convert that selection into vertices, Control right mouse click, and I get this marking menu, and I say 2 vertices, 2 vertices. And good. So, and then the way I like to do this is if I change this to absolute transform, make sure I'm in W for move mode, and then just put 0 in the X. You should see all of those line up along the center line. Then I'll select the object. Kind of being a little funny right now. Maya. Gonna pause and restart here. Okay, we're back up. So yeah, the pivot point should be in the center. It is. Scale -1. Oops, let's duplicate it first. Control D for duplicate, and scale that duplicate -1 in the X. Select the 2 sides, and mesh combine. And what you'll notice now, however, is we're not done yet because, for example, if I select what looks like just one of these vertices, and then go to display, heads-up display, poly count, you'll see, in fact, it's got 2 selected because the whole center line is doubled up. So I'll just select all the verts of the whole character and go to Edit Mesh, Merge Components, and as long as I'm set to the default, it'll only merge those that are extremely close to each other, and that should solve that. So now if you want to use the symmetry thing, turning that on, you should see that that works again. So yeah, clean up the arms, clean up any of those faces, like if we do select selection constraint, turn on next selection, end-sided, we can see any faces that have greater than 4 sides, so you'll want to, continue those edges along there, and so forth. Yeah. And then as far as being more cartoony was the other question. The thing there is just to exaggerate things more. So maybe make the head even bigger or exaggerate certain body parts. It's, that's kind of a design thing. So cartoony, I would say, is done through exaggeration. So look for parts you want to exaggerate. Think of how that kind of defines a character. I mean, the most sort of typical as the normal head for a cartoonish look, but you can kind of do anything you want there. Okay, but yeah, you've got some good basic stuff going. It needs some cleanup, but it's coming along. Next up is Sungjung Park, and it's got two characters, both of which look really good. Let's take a look at Maya. Uh, so yeah, both from a design point of view and a topology point of view, this is excellent. Even have two different choices of shells, and I think my taste is more towards this one, but they both look really good. I love the lines along the front of the shell, the creases there. That's looking really nice. And yeah, the feet, toes. I think the area that could use some work would be on the hands. If with once you rig these hands, it's going to be hard to bend them where they, have a lot of definition. They might kind of bend a little bit like a sort of a rubber hose, meaning that there's not a sense of where the knuckles and so forth are. So you might want to put some extra detail in where it's going to bend, kind of add some, for example, um, I could grab my multi-cut tool. I'm going to add it to my shelf by holding down Control and Shift, and then add it to the shelf. You can add a couple edge loops to the, let's say that's where you wanted to put the fingertip, and then grab some of these edges, push them up a bit. And then maybe take some of these verts and move those a little bit. Maybe this middle one a little bit more. That's a little bit exaggerated, I suppose, but and you could kind of spend more loving time on that, obviously. Not really liking how that looks. But anyways, the point being is to add some knuckle definition on the hands and some creases where that's going to bend along the bottom, and that additional detail so that they'll bend nicely there and it'll make it obvious where you want to put the joints in. So that's the area it needs work. But this is great. I mean, if you had to rig it right now, it would turn out really well. So really good work on this. Is that a spherical eye? Yeah, it is great. Yeah, really good. Let's take a look at your other one. Yeah, again, excellent as well. Same story with the hands. One thing about this one is on the rigging of the feet. The approach I usually have for this kind of legs is that you treat this part as the heel, and so this is like the ball here. This is a toe along there, and then of course this is still the knee, and so you have the thigh bone, the knee, the shin, the the ankle is kind of here, heel, ball, toe. So that's the approach I usually use for that. And again, excellent model. Next up is Damien, and let's take a look at the model. And yeah, really good progress at this for this stage. The first couple of things that jump out at me are this very thick belt, and this seems kind of thin and lacking some structure. I think maybe adding some bolts and some maybe hinge mechanisms. Um, Also, just making this feel a little more sturdy, I think, would help with the look of the character. Maybe even longer too. Also, don't combine the surfaces, so we're going to separate those now. You're going to want to clean up your outliner as well, so I might just delete history off of all these surfaces, and then actually that got rid of most of it right there. So there we go. And you might want to name some of the stuff. The belt looks too thick to me. One thing with this pocket, if you want to add some thickness to it, you can select that top edge and extrude inward, extrude that edge inward. Or, we might even have better luck. Let's see what happens if we select this row of faces and extrude those inward. If that does any better for us. Yeah, that actually works better. Got a little bit of cleanup to do here. But besides that, then what you get is that, the pocket looks like it has thickness. You're going to have to go around the model and clean up your faces. So if we turn on select using constraints, next selection, and side, it'll select anything that has more than 4 sides to it. And you can see because of this pocket kind of intersecting these, you need to kind of break these up. So for example, I'm just going to grab my multi-cut tool. I have it there, multi-cut tool. I put it in my shelf right there. So if I started from this corner, I'm going to hold down shift to get 50%. That's the middle of the edge there. And this one I can kind of hook right up to the belt anyways, because I was going to have to fix that face anyways. So now I've actually sort of killed 2 birds with 1 stone there, and I fixed, oh, that's still has more than 4 sides, does it? 1, 2, 3. Must be something not easy to see that has more than 4 sides. Turn off modeling toolkit. What else we got going on here? No, that's all right. I don't know. So I don't see how those are end-sided, but this one clearly is, and you'll want to break that up, and so on and so forth. Those got fixed from what we just did. Here you could break these up here, connect up to that, and then that should solve some of those, yeah. And here you could kind of split around there and go around the leg and split along there and go around the leg and so forth. Yeah, the lips really need some work. You're going to need to add, kind of first kind of work on the shape a little bit, I think. Don't know why that keeps turning on. Might move these forward a little bit. It's nice if you can have the same number of verts and edges on the top half as you do on the bottom. You don't need these oh, I need to turn this off. Reset. Disable all. Okay. That was messing up my selection. So what you want to do is build a mouth cavity. So I'm just going inside the head here. Take this edge. I'm going to scale it just so it's more flat, like that. And then extrude it back. Let's use this thing. Go straight back. Go out a bunch. Extrude again. We want the world. So I can go even bigger on that. And then one more time. And now I've got a mouth cavity. Maybe this one could be bigger, but I might add some loops here first. So you're going to want to kind of round those out. One nice trick, I'm going to select this and shift double click here. Whoops. Let's try that again. I'll select that loop. And I want to kind of bulge them outwards. I'm probably going to deselect these ones on the edges actually because I don't want to bulge those out like I do the along the top and bottom. But I want to move them. I mean, you can just move them forward, which sort of works. But if you go into the Move tool options, you can do normal, and that along that end that kind of pushes them outward, not just forward, away from the surface. If you want to put that back, another way to access those options is to hold down W, click on the left mouse button, and I get this marking menu, and I can go back to object mode. Maybe pull that forward a little bit. And so then we're going to want to close this. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to use B for soft select, and hold down B and click and drag and narrow that to maybe there, and then scale, and then sort of close these lips a bit. And then now I need to kind of slide these edges back and spread them out a little bit. So turn B again to turn off. Don't really like what's happening here. I might, did that happen when I scaled it down? Kind of. It was already a little pinchy over there. Yeah, so that made the lips real thin. So I might kind of close this, but then I think I'll take these edge loops. I'm going to turn off smooth select. I'm going to use the slide edge tool. I'll hold down Control and Shift, and that adds that to my shelf. And if I double click on it, I'm going to make sure snapping is turned off because it always gets in my way. They can kind of middle mouse drag. And what it tries to do is it tries to slide the edge without changing the shape too much. And then let's kind of push these out again like I did before. Again, hold down W, axis, normal, push those out some. Might grab this one and push it back in. Yeah, I got a ways to go. I might take this edge loop and close that one more and leave the other ones behind a little bit. Give the lips a little bit more thickness. And then I might use, let's go back to object mode and paint sculpt. I'm going to hold down B and shrink down this brush quite a bit. And then change to the smooth mode and turn on reflection. So it does, is it going to do both sides for me? Is that? Okay, that's working with the origin thing. So you can see it's just kind of smoothing out that area a little bit. And then let's see how we're doing here. I might have gone too far with that. Maybe it's all right. Yeah, I don't really like those things overlapping, but I think that's why you got to keep checking this in rough mode. So back to the multi-cut and add another kind of real tight one there, and then sort of a holding edge. Convert those to vertices, deselect these, and then maybe move those out as well. Axis, normal. Okay, it's already on normal. It's a bit much on the sides, but anyways, it's got a ways to go, but hopefully you're starting to get sort of a little bit idea of a workflow there to help you do that. I might go back into paint and see if sculpt and see if the smooth on, if I can get this flattened on the sides a little bit better. Yeah, that's helping some. So they need more shape still. So there's not it's not good. Lips, stuff like lips aren't quick. I'm gonna go back to object now. Just move those down, kind of getting that shape going on, and maybe these can move in towards each other a little bit. I mean, it doesn't look amazing yet, but it's progressing. So you just got to keep working at it, and then you got to work on the eyelids in a similar fashion, adding loops in, adjusting the shape, and so forth, until you get something that looks decent. Which this so far, maybe not. I think that this one's too far, too low. I think that's actually open back up a little bit. And maybe we need another row inside right behind there. Whoops, maybe not that far. And then I can kind of take this loop, sort of. Actually, I think what I'll do is use that edge slide, kind of move it. Oh, it's not doing what I want it to do. Oh, no, it is. Yeah, that's getting a little better. Anyway, I can't spend all day modeling that. I could, but then I wouldn't get to the other work. So yeah, I use some extra edge loops to terminate here. And anyways, it's a good start, but just keep going and keep cleaning things up and defining some of those areas, shrink the belt, make that more substantial. Add some detail. You're really going to have to add detail to the hands quite a bit. So yeah, keep going. Next up is Tommy. And yeah, it's a cute little character. I'm going to move him up so his feet are exactly on the ground. And yeah, it's got a good look. You've got a separate thing where you've done the hand and arm separately, which is not good. So what I would do is kind of extrude the rest of the arm from the hand. But the thing is, you'll want to kind of clean up the hand first because there's a bit too many edges there. So I'm going to flatten that out a little bit. Maybe could make the hand a little bigger there and maybe scale it in, get a little bit more sense of a wrist. And then what I would do is go in and terminate some of these edge loops. So I might take out some. Let's go to one here, like say like that one. And to do that, I'll need to delete edge. So when you delete an edge, do edit mesh, delete edge vertex, or control delete. And that'll get rid of the extra edges that would otherwise be there. And then I could take, for example, these two verts and do edit mesh, merge components to center, and I end up with actually four-sided faces there because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So let me just repeat that. For example, here and here, and take these two, edit mesh, merge to center. Oops. Edit mesh, merge to center. And so on and so forth. And then do the same thing to the bottom, but I will skip that just in the interest of time. And let's take this and extrude edge. Kind of, I could just push it all the way and then go ahead and add my definition afterwards. So, well, actually, it'd be kind of cool to just use the divisions here, right? Oh, is that acting bizarrely? Let's not do that then. So then I might use, let's say, multi-cut. How's that going to work? Good. Maybe some extra ones around the elbow, and then you can maybe some more for the bicep and the forearm, and then you can go in and start adding some detail in there. Maybe I'll put on soft select, hold down B, add B for soft select, and click and drag, and it'll change the size of the brush, and I can add a little elbow in there and maybe a little indentation. Oops. Indentation on this side. I think the hand's going to need more detail too. You're going to need more splits, and you know, if these fingers are really going to bend, then they need quite a lot more detail on them to get that shape going. Anyways, you know, spend more time on that. The face has got some good basic shapes. I think that clearly the mouth needs a lot more time and definition on the shape. The eyelids are, the way you constructed it, tricky because you don't have edge loops right now. So like if I try to add an edge loop like with the multi-cut tool, oh, you do. Oh, no, you're fine. What am I saying? That's good. So yeah, so get in there, much like I showed in the previous video with the lips, and start adding in loops and, you know, defining the shape more, and put an eyeball in there. Whoops. I'll just close this tool thing. It's getting in my way. So yeah, just get that eyeball in there about where you want it, and then maybe there, something like that, and then start shaping the eyelids around that to get a nice shape there. So you'll want to kind of pull these forward, and, you know, maybe you can get away with scaling that a little bit, but then, and you may end up needing more edge loops to get the detail you need. But the idea is to, you know, use the eyeball as the guide to kind of, you know, get some rounded shape to these. Well, maybe I did have the right one first time. That's quite a big, you know, drop back there. Anyway, start to get that looking a little closer, maybe get some more roundness to this, and so forth. And then, you know, maybe you need a couple more loops here, like you might end up putting another one in here. And that'll help you get, actually, hold on. Let me just hide this, whoops. Hide this eyeball for a second, because why is that not selecting? Because you should put like an eye cavity in here, something like that, and then Control Shift H will show less hidden. And then when I add something, again using multi-cut, oh, it's still going all the way around. Okay, that's fine. And then maybe one here. Anyways, I can't obviously model this all day long, but maybe kind of move this stuff around. So anyways, give that some work, and yeah, a lot of time and definition on the mouth, and maybe clean up some of the neck stuff over there. And yeah, oh, and then the same thing I showed before to give the arm some thickness. So I might select, we'll probably need another row here, but I might take this one and scale that flat, and then add a edge loop here. I'm just holding down Control. Could be bigger too, actually. And then I'll select a face loop here, and then extrude those. Just add some thickness here, whoops, like so. And then that gives that, some thickness. We'll have to take this face loop and maybe this, it's a little hard to see. Those two face loops, and then reverse the normals, normal, reverse, so that they're not, they're showing the correct side. Oh, that pushed that in. That didn't work. That's. I guess I need to use. That's funny. I guess when I push those in, it's. I did that successfully before. Funny. Thought I would keep that other one. I guess we'll just do it this way. We'll just select these, just the edges, and extrude the edges in towards the center instead, and then extrude those again, and push those back, and that does it. And that gives it some thickness. So do that on both sleeves and along the bottom here to give it some thickness. Yeah, a little more definition of the knees, if possible. And yeah, keep going. Next up is Brittany. Let's take a look. So yeah, I guess you had some trouble with the hands, so can't look at that. But this is coming along pretty well. It looks pretty good. Concerning, let's take a look at connecting the head to the neck. So I'm going to let's change this to world mode for move, so they'll move up together. Oh, they're moving. Oh, are these parented into the head? I'm gonna unparent these. Shift P will unparent them, and now, yeah, they'll all move up together. So we need to make a neck hole here. So let's select these. I'm just selecting one, then shift double clicking the other side, and then delete those out. And I'll take the bottom of the neck and just scale that flat. Make this a little easier. Whoops. Just make sure that that's in world as well. There we go. Make sure that's flat. Okay. And then it looks like maybe you've smoothed the body but not the face. So they should both be at the same level. So I would normally have connected it before I smoothed either of them, but since the body's smooth, I'll go ahead and smooth the face as well. And we've got the heads up display here now, which is under display, heads up display, poly count. And let's just check here. We've got 16 verts there. And let's try this edge loop. And then I'll convert that to, I can already see it's 16 edges, but I'll convert that to vertices. Control right mouse click. Vertices 16, great. So let me use B for soft select, and then I'll scale this a bit wider, and then kind of more open there. Move it back a little bit. Just as a starting point, you're going to have to reshape that a little bit. But then I'll grab this and move it down. And then just sort of like match make with these to line them up. So I'll turn off soft selected B again. And I might turn on shading, wireframe unshaded, to see where these line up. And I'll hold down V for point snap and then middle mouse drag, and it should, for lucky, it should snap to the nearest point. Doesn't want to do it right now. Maybe if I show those vertices, see, and then they turn red. That does it. Yeah, I just right mouse click on this one and showed verts, and then that helps with that. Because as I hold down V, as soon as that highlights red, I know when I middle mouse drag, it'll snap to that one. And these, we're kind of working our way around here, so this one's going to that next one, so I'm just making a little bit of space there. Oops. Holding down V. That's interesting. It doesn't want to. Let's try. There we go. Okay. Select this one. And he's hiding under there. And just maybe turn on wireframe for this one. Whoops. V, middle mouse drag. Okay, where are we now? It's a little confusing. Maybe go back to the front. It'll help us out. Okay. And oops. Follow this one up to here. Just to kind of clear up what's going on here. Yeah, this is where they kind of scoot back a little bit. Okay. Right. And so now those are lined up. And I'll select these two objects, mesh, combine, and make sure I select the vertices and say edit mesh, merge components, and as long as it's set to the default, it should be fine. And so now those are all individual, before they were, it's like a double row there. And then I think I'm going to go into object mode and go to paint, sculpt. Well, let's select a few rows first. Let's select, I'll just shift double click to select that one, shift double click, shift double click. And that's the area I want to smooth over. So I'm going to right mouse click, paint, sculpt, set it to smooth, which is this button right here. And then when I use flood, it'll just apply it equally to all the selected points. So you see that quickly smooths out that neck. And yeah, I mean, you could keep going on that, but obviously you've got a nice kind of seamless waterproof connection there between the neck and head. So there's a little help there. And yeah, keep going with the hands and the rest of the body. The feet look a little short. You might want to lengthen those. Maybe look at some photo reference for getting the proportions right. And yeah, keep going. Next up is WoW with the fishing panda. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a start. First of all, we don't want to combine these, so we'll do mesh separate. And yeah, the rough version is good to look at. I press 3 for smooth, preview 1 for rough, and it really kind of shows, this needs some work. It looks like you have some asymmetry here between the left and right. So if you look at that earlier video, I show how to kind of re-mirror it across, and you may want to do that to get a cleaner leg there. And clearly the arms need a lot more detail. You're going to want to add in, an elbow shape, so, some more loops for there. In general, you'd probably want to get this rounded a little bit. And probably get another. Well, actually, I should probably work on this side because you'll mirror over to this side to the other side because this leg looks a little bit better, although that needs more work too. And then add in some more loops here. I might use my multi-cut tool, edit mesh tools, multi-cut tool. And I'll just hold down shift and add a few loops in here, and I can start just modeling a little bit more, getting a little more shape to this. And then you're probably going to need another one along there. And I would hook these up too. Okay. That's interesting that that's not connecting. That makes me think that maybe there's something wrong. Boy, do I am not liking modeling toolkit right now. There's some issue with this. Yeah, you've got some like double set of edges there, so just kind of scale that down, and then I'll complete this. There we go. And now you have some more detail to work with, again, to continue shaping the arm. It's getting a little bit more round. I think this is too big. I want to scale that in a bit, maybe down some. Maybe pull out an elbow here, a little bit more of an elbow shape. So it's starting to get a little bit more shape to it. Getting a safe sense of elbow. And then, you're really going to want to add a whole paw shape as well. So I'm not loving this, honestly, but the idea is you need to add more detail and really, get some shape going on this, and then clean up the model. I'm really going to have to, add some edge loops into the, for the lip area. And, pull out some lips. Oops. That's just a start, really. You really need to go in. I did another, on one of the other videos, I spent some time modeling the lips. You'll probably want to close the mouth. I'm going to use soft select to help with that. Hold down B, make that a little smaller. Close that a little bit. And hit B to get out of soft select. This edge is too close now. I might use the edge slide and slide that out some. Anyway, yeah, that's starting to get a little bit of shape, but yeah, you'll want to keep adding in edge loops there. And similarly, you want to be adding a lot of detail for the eye, and really getting these shaped more to the eyeball you have in there. And then try to add some loops around there to get some shape and kind of an eyelet thing going. Yeah, so, and then mirror it. I demonstrated that earlier, so you can just copy that, just delete the half, mirror it across, merge, combine and merge. So, add paws there, add a knee shape, add a paw to the foot. The belly and stuff is looking pretty good. More definition to the nose and mouth. Yeah, keep going.